Thank you very much. I want just to thank you, you and Stefan, for the organization and to join this bunch of very nice people, very expert in the field. Then I am going to try just to do like a summary of what is the philosophy of the work of our group and some examples of how we are dealing with this subject. And I think that Amaya, the first day, the day of the International Coffee Day, she explained a little bit how do we work. Then we are going to speak about this opportunity that we see from the plant to the coffee cup. Well, I think that it's not mysterious for anybody. I think that all of us, we are very clear. I am biochemist. Even I am food chemistry also, but I am biochemistry. And I think that so far there are a lot of evidence that really what we eat is what gives us the opportunity just to have a sustainable health. And it's obvious that we have a problem, that probably we don't have food for everybody. I would like just to start just to puntualize in some concept, because especially in Spanish, I don't know in the other language, I think that in English it's very clear. But for us in Spanish, we use the word seguridad, that it should be security, for safety and for security, and that is a mistake. Then I think that always we would like just to start the presentation clarifying some subject terms that we use currently and constantly in our daily job date and in the environment of the food system, and we don't really know if we are using in the right way. Then the food security, just what it is the trend right now is just to speak about food and nutrition security, F&S, everything together. I'm going to tell why that makes sense. But the first thing that we need just to try to understand is what it is food security itself, that it is related, as we are going to see, with the food safety, but it is a different thing that is much more complex. And then the food security consists when all the people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preference and dietary needs for a native, active, and healthy life. This is what food security that is very linked to the nutrition. The other thing that we have just to try to understand that doesn't matter where you live, what is your socio-economical position is the concept of malnutrition, and this is because we are here, because as scientists, we need just to try to go to the farms and help these people just to make a better use of their sources, just to go to the consumers and just to sort it out, this problem that we have with nutrition. With nutrition, we have two problems. That the first one, I think that is very well known, and we are very familiar, and we think that is the only problem. I think that now the modern society is believing that we have another problem, but mainly when you speak about malnutrition, people think always on undernutrition. At least it's the first thought that you got in your mind. But there is a second problem that the disease derived from that is what is considered the pandemic of the 21st century, and this is very relevant, not only for the developed country, also for the developing country, and this is the overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable disease, and this is as big as 1.9 billion of adults in the whole world is affected by these diseases, and more alarming since is that 41 million of children are also suffering this kind of problem. Then, we know that, and this is the idea of how complex is the problem that we have, just to try to figure out how to deal with the food security. We need just to understand also that the concept of food security encompasses four main dimensions: the physical availability of food, as you can imagine, looking the concept that we pinpointed before, economy and physical access to the food, food utilization, stability of the other three dimensions over the time. Remember that Detroit, for instance, that is a very well developed space, it was considered a dessert, a food dessert, because some people didn't know that the cashew is not something that grow in the plants. They don't know where the thing come. Then this is a big problem.
But where we are dealing, what we are dealing with, the main thing that we are, the main contribution that we are doing is just in the food utilization. This food utilization refers to the way the body makes the most various nutrients in the food. It involves factors such as good care and feeding practices, food preparation, diversity of the diet, and intra-household distribution of food. The nutritional status of the individual is influenced by both sufficient energy and nutrient intake and good biological utilization of the food consumed. This is because it makes sense to speak about food and nutrition security all together and not in a separate way. And this is our field. Then just to go that is just to say that as all of you, the one that we are here, we are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. If you look to the 17 that we have, at least there are 3 or 4 that we are dealing with, because it's the hunger zero, the food responsibility, production, and the health and well-being, and so on. Then going back to the title, Food and Nutrition Security, food and nutrition security and S requires simultaneously full health and care. You cannot do it one thing because the 3 of them are interacting. So there is no way to achieve nutrition security without food security. And the food security includes also, of course, the food safety, as we mentioned. And this is, in this context, very clear that in Spanish or in Spain, we used it in the wrong way previously. Then, of course, we need all this interaction. This is because I believe that today we are doing something in this way, that the agencies that are involved in to sort it out, the problem with food and nutrition security, should be all of this, because it has a social impact, a health impact, and so on. Then you can just find an updated annual flagships report about that in the regulators in the agency. That is very good. And also, if we focus the attention and we believe this has something to do with the coffee sector, that is what we are speaking today. Yes, but from the FAO, you have a lot of strategies just to develop or just to try to achieve the goals that they have, the sustainable goal, very fast or in time. In this way, they are trying just to deal with some company just to teach. This is what we were discussing today, to teach the farmer or to go to the first place just to try to sort it out the problem. As you can see in this list, at least we have 2 coffee companies that they're involved in this stuff just to try to figure out how to go to the food and nutrition security. It is a problem of the developed country. This is the question that you can just to do it yourself. The nutritionist can also help on that. This is the question that you can just to make yourself also. This is a paper that has been published very recently in a very typical nutritional journal, very well prestigious nutritional journal, Advances in Nutrition. As you can see here, they're going back and the nutritionists are very aware just to try to help that. And then the nutrition security is achieved when the dietary and nutritional needs are satisfied. Then we need just to work all together just to achieve this goal. How do we do? I think that Amaya gave some points. How do we work normally just to try to sort it out, to be, we use it to concept, and one concept is the bioeconomy. The other concept that we use to work is the co-creation, just to have a close relationship with the producer, with the consumer, with the industry, just to know their needs. And then this is what we do. We do just to try just to do bioeconomy, stick it to this, that they are the way that has been proposed from the regulatory agency, just to achieve the goal to reduce the weight and the loss and to have a very sustainable world, and just to sort it out also the food and nutrition security. What we are trying just to do is, the coffee is not the only byproduct that we work with. We work with another one. The philosophy is as much abundant, as much contaminant, as better for us, but it should be enriched in compounds, in nutrients, and in bioactive compounds, just to try to be helpful for the food and nutrition security. This is our philosophy, and we start just trying just to look the composition and just to look if we can just to go to the food redistribution, if we can just to work in that way. If that is not possible, we try to find out who can collaborate with us just to give a second life to the byproduct in the prioritary way. I mean, going first for the nutrition, if this is not for human nutrition, going to the animal feed, so on, but the only one that we don't want is just to make an incineration of the product that was what typical was done for the silver skin, for instance. Then we have to keep in mind this one that I think that the last 24 hours or 48 hours we have been talking about that because we live in the European Commission and in the European Zone, and because we need just to sort it out. The problem in the law, what we do is just to try to focus the attention on the novel ingredients, because most of the matrix that we use it, even when they are very familiar for the consumers, as we have discussed this day, have not been accepted as normal ingredients. What is our role then? Just to go to a health claim is a longer way, and then the idea is just always go first to the nutritional claims because it's very clear in the legislation, and taking into account the composition of the ingredient and the design of the food that you have, probably you easily can have a nutritional claim. And once you have this product, with the benefit that can be generated from this product, you can keep the collaboration with other people to complete the research for the health claim. This is our philosophy. Then keeping in mind that this is everything that most of you are very familiar. This is everything that you have just to do just for the authorization of the novel food in the Eurozone. And there is something that is tricky for the people for the food industry. Normally, we take it something that was authorized, incorporated in our formulation, but now we are taking these things that they are very new. And one thing that is tricky for us, but it is not for the pharmaceutical industry, is the toxicological information. This is tricky, but we are biochemistry, and we need just to carry out with that, or you have to take the collaboration with the veterinary department or whatever, but you cannot escape to that just to have the authorization of the commercialization of the product or to give a health claim, of course. Well, I think that now everybody is familiar here that this is a cherry, but even when in Spain we are able just to grow this beautiful cherry, the people don't know many times that it's not. And the other thing that I would like just to remark that we have explained it before, I think that is very curious and very important just to remark that more than the 90% of the cherry is thrown away normally, and we use only the beans for the roasting. And now it's starting to have another products like the cascara that is becoming very popular, that represent about the 40% of the cherry. That is an advantage, but still we are throwing away too much. If you look this figure, you can understand what it is, the definition of the different byproducts that we have. But the byproducts, there is another problem that depending on the process you have just to obtain the seed, or the beans, you can have one byproduct or you can have a bunch of them, or at least more than one. This is a typical figure. We have many publishes on our, but I think that I invite you just to have a look of this paper because it's a paper published in 2023 that is very interesting and is quite representative. First, we have this byproduct that we have the unripe cherries of the ripe cherries that they can be a product, and the byproduct that you can have in the plants, they are the leaf that we have spoken a lot about that, and also the flowers. We have started just to work with the leaf very recently, but we have dealt more with the other byproducts. We started just working with the silver skin and the Spain coffee ground because we're the problem for the Spanish company, for the roasting company, and the brewing company. And later on, we moved to the cascara and the mucilage I am going to present you. This was the first paper that we dedicated completely, sorry that the slide is in Spanish, to the study of all the byproducts, because we studied as you are going to see in a few minutes, we studied the silver skin and the Spain coffee grounds before, just to reduce the risk of diabetes. But later on, we figured out that it is interesting just to include the pulp and the parchment also. And what you can see here is the general scheme, just to summarize this project that we call Sauce Coffee, and how we stick it to the regulation just to make the study, and just to determine what it is, the balance risk-benefit of the use of this byproduct for the human consumption. As you can observe, we always deal with the analysis of the chemical composition, the analysis of the microbiology quality of the byproduct, sensory analysis, and also we include studies of toxicology at a DNA level and also acute or subchronic evaluation. Then the philosophy is also just to take the byproduct and to finish with the whole byproduct, not to produce a new byproduct. I mean, this is very important because we don't want just to produce a new waste. I think that we want just to do a completely upcycling of that. These were the first PhD thesis that we supervised on this subject. The first one that is on the left is the application of one patent that we have belonged to the silver skin. We used the extract of the silver skin and we evaluated the sustainability use of the coffee silver skin as a natural serotonin bioactive compound for the diabetes. The studies were performed in vitro and in vivo, also using rats as a model system. And what you have in the right is the second study that also includes a patent that was the use of the spent coffee ground before they were authorized to be used because it's not a novel food in the list. And this patent, what we did, it was the application of the spent coffee ground for the bakery products, just to produce a gluten-free bakery product with a low level of sugar and high level of dietary fiber. And this got a prize in Berlin in 2017. That was when she finished this thesis that was entitled Development of Sustainable Novel Food Based on Coffee Byproduct for a Chronic Disease. And the later, but not the least, I mean, we have running now a new PhD thesis. Also, this is going to be the number 5 in the coffee byproduct, in this case, supervised by Amaya Iriondo and myself. But these are the sister Iriondos. In the first one, as you can see here, this one is Maya's sister. What we did was the application of extract from coffee byproducts and grape byproduct in the formulation of the yogurt. And here we included also a clinical study just to demonstrate the tolerance of the product in the human population. And also, this is the thesis, Amaya's thesis, that is the validation of the coffee byproducts as food ingredient for the sustainable health, nutrition and health that combine all the knowledge that we have before. But as you can see here in the aims of her thesis, we include some details that we didn't include before, and we included in this case because we need to stick it to the novel food legislation. As you can see here, it is the regulation. We say to validate the feasibility of the coffee byproducts as novel food ingredient for a sustainable nutrition and health, following the regulation. Because if we don't follow with the regulation, we cannot door the door of the industry, and we cannot transfer the knowledge because they don't want something that they don't have enough scientific information for instruments in the industry or to scale up in the industry. Then this is our reality. If we don't like it, doesn't matter. This is what we have this obstacle, but this is what we need just to do. And then the aims, if you see here, what it is novel, respect what I have mentioned before, as that you can see the word safety in many of this point of the specific aim of Amaya. This is how looks the work plan of Amaya thesis. This is the style of our group. Normally we do like, for facilitating the evaluation of the PhD thesis, we do like a graphical abstract, just including everything. As I mentioned before, you have on this part, those coffee cherry byproducts generated in producing countries. That means that we don't have it, the access as we would like it. Well, now it's easier just to have host and parchment, but not before. And in this way, we have the other one that we started just to look after. This is because I don't understand what is the problem with the silver skin, because already in our group, we have put enough information just to go for a novel food dossier for the silver skin, because for this extract that we obtained for the silver skin, we have done genotoxicity, we have done nutritional characterization, analysis of the safety using animals and everything. And I think that it's not only our group who has provided information on that. There are many groups that they are providing information on that. I think that hopefully sooner than later, we are going to have the silver skin also accepted of that. But that is one thing that I want just to remark. Amaya mentions in her presentation, but this, I think that is the reason, because our information was included in the Nestle application for the safety stuff and application as novel food of the cascara, because this was something that no other groups has provided before the information. Then over here, and I'm not going into detail because I think that we don't have plenty time for that. Let me see. This is the study, and this is what we did. This is what I mentioned before, that this is because we believe that this paper is the most popular one that we have it, but in her PhD thesis we have 6 papers, and all of them, I think that they're very relevant, not as important as the one, even when has been cited very much the other of all of them, but this one has been the most relevant one because it has to do something with the cascara, but here you have more information, especially about safety, about how you have to track the safety of the byproduct, just doing many analyses. One thing that I want just to remark is that many times we don't know exactly the spare what we are talking about, because according to the legislation, dear correct me if I am wrong, what is considered cascara, it seems that it's coming from the wet process, because they say that it's including the skin, the pulp, the mucilage, the parchment, and in some cases, the silver skin. And if you take everything together, this is coming from the dry process, isn't it, Adriana? And I think that in many cases, what we have is the pulp. That is, if it is coming from the wet process, what you have is the external skin and the pulp. Then this is important because sometimes you have different results, and it's not only because the variety, the origin, and so on, it's because you are speaking about something that also has a different chemical composition because it's formed by a different number of parts of the initial cherry. Then doing that, this is what I said, that for the host, what we did was just to obtain an extract. And initially, we worked with this extract producing an instant an extract. That was the intention initially. And this extract was dehydrated by freeze drying. But this is, since that is not the, well, anyone knows that, it seems that the best way just to make the dehydration of this extract is not anymore the lyophilization of the freeze drying, it has another way. We did the characterization, the chemical characterization of the product, and also the safety. And here is something that I think that is important, and this is how you have to check your byproduct just to know that really it's a food ingredient for the human consumption, even for the animal consumption. You have to do the same thing that you do for the green beans. You have just to go to analyze the pesticides, the mycotoxins that they are they grow happily here, and the acute toxicity. And then you can have information about the chemical characterization of them just to try to understand the health claim that you can propose for them or the nutritional one. This is the result that we obtained for the cascara, and I think that you have seen in our papers. We did just sticking ourselves to the rules, that toxicological rules. As you can see here, what we are showing over here is the histology results that we have obtained for controls and treated animals in kidney and liver. As you can see, the pictures, they are identical, not toxic stuff. And the other thing that we did, because we are very interested in to make the whole recycle of that, was just to make a characterization of the weights of the insoluble fraction. As you can see here, we did the same for that. Here we found some ochratoxin concentration, we believe that was in the range that is acceptable. Believe that here we are concentrated because we removed the whole water, but it is in the right way. And that is very good just to be used, as we proposed before, just to enrich in proteins and in dietary fiber the different products. Then, with this information, we make a proposal in Amaya's thesis that just to these two products that we have initially, the cascara and the parchment, that we were not familiar before with that because we didn't have that. And I have to say that just we did a cooperation program that was funded by the ICC, that is the Agency of Cooperation of Spain, with Honduras, just to know what they needed just to do and how we can do easily things. Always we have the extraction and everything following a low-tech technology and a high-tech technology. Always with high-tech technology you can have a higher yield, but probably doesn't sort it out the problem in the developing countries. Then, with that, what we did? Well, we proposed for the enriched extract for food ingredient, food preservative, natural colorant, food supplement, and dermaceutic. And we made proof just to test that everything is possible. And the host dietary fiber, we propose just to use in gluten-free food ingredient, as gluten-free ingredient, natural source of antioxidant dietary fiber. And here, the parchment, in agreement with Mirko, I think that we decided that probably we have a bunch of byproducts here, and probably this is not the best solution just to go with this one as a food ingredient for human consumption or for animal consumption. Better is just to go to bioplastic. This is how, and then we have another application that we propose taking into account these applications that we did. Then this was the main conclusion of this job, that the coffee husk, pulp, cascara can be converted into two novel, safe food ingredients containing nutrients and non-nutrient bioactive compounds, and the fractionation procedure is a suitable, simple, green, and easy to scale up process by the coffee industry, achieving total waste recovery and avoiding new investment. And enriched extract with multi-functional properties and insoluble fraction composed mainly by dietary fiber with different structure and functions. Soluble and insoluble were obtained. We are studying more about the health claims, but the same claims that we gave before to the silver skin, it can be gave. What it is the main concern? We have been speaking about caffeine, no? How much caffeine has this extract? If we leave it extract in the way we have obtained it, it's more or less like this beverage. I'm not going to do any advertise for any company. You can just find out here in this paper that I think that many of you know that is the proposal of the instant cascara that we did, and we are still working now in the optimization of the conditions. We have sorted out the condition just to use the spray drying, and we believe that in brief, probably with the help of somebody, we can just to have the instant cascara in the market with some nutritional claims that we have already, and then they are including in this conclusion that where am I aesthetic, but we can just to figure out more with the study that we are doing now. With the experience that we have, we propose just to use the cascara, silver skin, and spent coffee grounds just to produce human products, human food. Animal feeding can be used also the cascara and spent coffee grounds, and as fertilizer, we can use the parchment, the coffee silver skin, and also the spent coffee grounds, composting, cascara, and spent coffee grounds, and incineration. I think that this is the last option, and we have many other applications. This is what we are working just now. We are working into project. This one that is just in collaboration with the medical department. We are doing preclinical and also clinical study. We are running this project that we call Coffee for BGA, at the same time that we are working in a project with the industry that they call Teratrofo, that is to figure out how this beverage can have an influence in the reduction of the risk of the cancer of colon. We are almost finishing. I think that in June of 2024, we are going to finish that, but the results are quite relevant, depending on the model that we are using. We are using collated model and so on. And then if you wanted just to see all the contribution that we have done on that, this is all the application that we have proposed for the compound. You can just to have the QR, and with that you can just to figure out most of the paper that we have, even when they are not updated here. But some of them, they are included in this revision that was done in the 2021, just to figure out how the great interest that is obtained the coffee byproduct, and how interesting is just to take this product for the sustainability of the coffee sector and for the food security and nutrition. Then I think that our organizer knows very well this meeting and this paper. This was, I think, the state of the situation by the time in 2021, how were the applications that they did. And in this time, they proposed also, or they revised also, how was the legislation according to that. Then I am positive, because if before we were here, and now we are here, even when that, it was not in the list, but now someone else is interested, because I think that when I was in Reading University by the early 2000, that Vincenzo Foggiano proposed with Illy just the use of that as prebiotic. We believe we don't have enough raw material just to work on that with the silver skin. And now people believe that we have enough raw material just to work with the silver skin in different applications. Then this is a change of mind, that this is what we're discussing this day, and this is very positive. And then the other thing is that if the agency, if the European Commission don't consider that we have plenty signed, I think that the whole community, we have plenty signed just to try to demonstrate that we can just to do the same that we did for that. Even if they don't believe that it is a traditional stuff, it can be that it is, because it's in the green bean, for instance, for me, and the green bean is accepted. And everything that we have here, that the worst thing can be the acrylamide, it is in the coffee already. And because this is very linked to the bean, it's very similar, the composition of this with the coffee, with the bean, the roasted bean. Then I think that they are not matter not to accept that. And I think that with all the investigation that has been done, in brief, I think that this red cross is going to be turned into a green smart. Then the last paper, just is my pleasure. I don't want just to finish my presentation without to see that we have the honor just to collaborate with Adriana Fara. And we have an exchange of students that I think that we are very pleased just to have that. And this was the last one that we did. We were discussing this morning about the cascara and the kombucha. We believe that this is a very good option just to go to the market, and I believe that there is no problem. Our collaboration here, or our contribution, was just to use a model of diabetic nephropathy that Amaya and I got the opportunity to develop in Harvard University in 2016, 17, no? Last of 16 to 17, and it's very good just to try to apply the knowledge that you got with other group and to transfer it to the other ones. Then we believe that in the future we are going to have more results, and the results already Adriana mentioned the other day that they are very positive in terms of health. Then, because we are worried about the people and the diffusion, or just to go to this population, big population, Spanish speaking, that they have, and they are producing this byproduct, we have written this book, Amaya and me, that is just in a popular language, just to get the attention of the people. And then we run many webinars with these people during the pandemic or in situ, just to teach them how to cook many recipes with the cascara and the other byproducts. This is just to remind you that this is all the application, the new application that has been proposed in 2023, this year, a few months ago. And this is, for instance, for the Spain Coffee Ground, what they are proposing. Many of these applications that they have proposed, as you observed before, we did a PhD thesis on that, and we demonstrated, and we have a patent on that, how the compounds that you have in the silver skin, caffeine and chlorogenic acid, can have effect in the lipase. And we used also the rats and also the C. elegans just to do these studies. And also we have information on the use of the silver skin and cascara in the diabetes. And in the next presentation, Sanchez Martin, it's hard not to say Vanessa, is going to speak about the potential that the cascara has in the colon cancer. That is what we are studying now in this project. And Amanda is also, Fernanda is going to explain you how the compounds or the metabolite that you can just to produce during the gut fermentation by the microbiome can just to have an effect on the potential effect on the cardiovascular disease. Then, with that, I think that we can just to conclude that the coffee byproducts are novel food. Yes, if they wanted, if they don't consider that they are traditional, but for healthier life and sustainable wear, I think that it's clear that we can apply and we have enough raw material to work on that. But we need more science just to get insight on their nutritional and health claim. And I just thank you, my team, and Amaya, of course, for all the contribution that you did and the one that we are going to continue to do with you. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your fantastic insights into the coffee byproducts and your research, and also specifically thank you for your pivotal studies that actually convinced EFSA to approve cascara. So this is probably another applause worth for that study. And I absolutely agree with you that it's probably a tiny step to also get the application for the silver skin, but we need someone from industry who is doing the application with the European Commission. So please consider doing an application for silver skin so that we can also have this as a novel food in the EU.
Yes.
So are there questions from the audience? Yes, Ennio?
I'm faster. He's too slow.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dolores. It was very great to have this full presentation. In Switzerland, when we submitted the application, we faced only one safety issue. It was the high potassium content in the cascara. Did you face also this problem in your studies?
We consider that like as a positive stuff because we have a problem with the sodium. And then we believe that, in fact, I think that was one of the claims that we gave to the cascara extract that is rich in potassium. Then we don't have, we didn't receive any problem from the Spanish legislation. And as long as, and there isn't any indication, because I think that the only indication that they said in the legislation as a novel food, the required is for the caffeine. As you see over here, the concentration of caffeine in the cascara is very small in the extract, and we are preparing some solution that is what the consumers accepted, because I didn't have time, but we did a sensory analysis with teenagers, and Maya mentioned the other day, and adults. The women like it more than the man. I think that always happens with the herbal infusion. I don't know why. But we don't have any problem with the potassium. I think that it was in the range just to consider that is a sort of potassium, the preparation that we have in our hands, but not else.
Okay, no, it's just the only question they ask us to challenge. So
yeah.
I don't know if in EU they also ask for such question when they submitted the application.
It is not in the notes, no?
It's not in the toxicological assessment by EFSA. So if there was questions on that issue, it's probably between industry and EFSA, but we don't know about it. So I'm not aware that this might have been discussed as a risk factor in the EU.
Why do you consider that was so high? Because it's high, but it is a nice source of that, but it's not. I didn't consider that it's a toxically stuff.
I think for heart problems. I think so. I'm not a doctor.
It is a heart benefit. If you have a potassium, you have a heart benefit.
I think there is a disease related to high potassium content.
Okay, but any specific. But this is what happened. That sometimes we have just to be careful, because always I said, the foods you have for the healthy people, and this is for the whole population. If you have any medical requirement, you need, because you have interaction with any food and the drugs. And then even the normal food that you eat every day, you can say, don't eat it first the drug and later the food. You need just to go to your ND. Indeed, just to figure out what is the way just to drink it, But I think that this is not a problem.
Yeah.
For the normal people, no, the healthy people,
I believe the EFSA guidelines only targets the healthy adult consumer, and they don't care about diseases and something like this.
Yes, look, the Danacol, for instance,
But
no?
it's good that they don't, because otherwise it would even be more complicated. So
Yes. But look the Danacol that they say, no, if you want just to reduce or to maintain the cholesterol at 200, you have to do that. But if you are taking statins or any drug for the heart, you need just to go to your doctor because you have an interaction of the phytosterol with that. This is the different story, no?
So again, I have to look at the clock. Is there another pressing question?
Then we put it
Then we
in the
put
next
it in
coffee
the
break
coffee
and
break.
fight for it.
So Dolores, thank you so much again.